Hey, so if you have been curious about color correcting, you've tried it in the past unsuccessfully, or you have a couple areas on your face that you struggle to correct with makeup and you'd like to tone them down, this is going to be the video for you. I refer to this technique as color solving, and what I mean by that is that you don't need a layer of foundation over this product because we are going to be keeping your own skin showing through after we filter distractions. This is going to give you the natural, skin is in, no makeup look, but you're going to need to learn the lesson I'm about to teach you, which you can apply to any makeup that you have at home. And that is to change your face into a color wheel. I'm choosing to use this system called Demi Colour, and Demi Colour is going to change the way we do makeup, but there is a few things that you need to learn to be able to do this a little bit quicker. If we're going to talk about color correcting or color solving, we're going to need to have a little bit of theory about the color wheel. Now, having said that, the colors on a white piece of paper is not going to be how they look on your skin. If you are really fair, if you're really translucent, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but if you're really on the fair end, the colors on a white piece of paper will look actually fairly close to how they're gonna show up in this lighter skin tone. As you get more into the medium and tan, some of these colors don't appear in excess because they're not strong enough to see through the skin's pigment. And the darker and richer your skin tone is, this is what's basically gonna happen. There is just going to be less colors that you can see in your skin as distracting. Now, we don't need to know a whole lot about color theory and color science. Basically, if you can take the skin that you're in and identify what colors in your skin are showing through, then you can apply this lesson to any makeup you own. The idea here with color solving is that the excess color and the color solving color are going to cancel each other out, and that is going to leave you with a beige or a neutral that actually leaves the skin looking like skin. It's science, so it's not going to be warm, it's not going to be cool, it's just going to be neutral. Lots of times what gets people is redness. Most of the redness on the face is not actually true red in excess, so the whole time we've been taught with color correcting to use a green to cover up the red, but in reality, most of the time underneath the redness is actually an excess blue. So really by using green, we've just been adding to the blue and wondering why green is not working. We've been told to think it is, but it's always looked cool and ashy, and it still looks cool because blue is a cool color. Really, we needed to leave the warmth to be able to stay neutral and not have to put foundation in a neutral color over top of our color correcting. So basically what we needed to do was add yellows and oranges to be able to neutralize out that blue. So I wanted to be able to walk through a couple spots on my face with you to just kind of show you how I would go about identifying the colors. So if you want to address red first, so to speak, these blemishes look what you would think is red, but actually they have a little bit more blue in them. So I'm going to actually go in with my yellow because to me, they're looking very saturated. So they do look a bit red, but they're kind of dark. So they're darker than the rest of the skin tone around me. So I'm taking a very small brush and I'm going to take a very tiny amount, barely see it on the brush. I'm just going to tap right on that excess color and actually cancel out that I got a little bit much. Cancel out what was actually an excess purple and leave what looks like my skin tone showing through. How cool is that? So now that I know, I've gone in and identified this kind of bright or saturated but dark color on my own skin as a true excess purple, because when I use this yellow, it completely got rid of those marks. Moving kind of over here, you can notice if you compared this kind of spot to how red this was. This one's not quite as red, but it's still a little bit dark and a little bit red. So I'm gonna think it maybe has a little bit more blue in it. So I'm gonna go to a yellow orange and neutralize that away. Tiniest little amount I need, just placing it where that excess color is, and boom. So now I've identified a straight purple and I've identified like a purple, blue on my face. And now's when you can kind of go around and look for those spots on your face to be able to color correct those specific colors, how they look on your skin. Another spot that people really find distracting on their face is melasma or age spots or hyperpigmentation. These kind of brownie looking areas, and I have some under my eye here. If you kind of look, you can see a little bit of that speckling, or have some on my nose is another common area, like freckly looking spots. Always assume that is green. We're always going to start with that, and then we can kind of go into troubleshooting from there. So I already know that my spots on my face have a little bit more blue in them. So I'm going to go in assuming they're an excess green blue. So I'm going to use a red orange to be able to neutralize out a few of these spots. Now I have a patch here that actually is quite a dark mark on my face, if you notice. So I'm going to go in and kind of hit some of those darkest points, and it will completely brighten up that whole area on my face. So it won't look like a dark and kind of distracting spot anymore. You can kind of see that completely erased. Now I'll show you guys a quick little example of how to kind of go about the troubleshooting. So we'll kind of use it with this melasma spot on my nose, and I kind of want to zoom in so you guys can really see it. So I'm looking at it. It looks darker than the rest of the skin tone. Not super dark. It's not red. It looks a little bit brown. So I'm going to assume, just because it's a freckle or melasma spot, that it's green. So if I assume that it's straight green, what I'm going to do is go in with a red. So I'm going to go in with R1. Tiny little bit on my brush. And if I just tap this right on that excess color, can you see that it's looking a little bit colorless? It's looking a little bit icy on my skin. So what that's telling me is that the actual green spot has a little bit more blue in it than I was thinking. So then that's when I move over into my RO. Now, if I went too far the other way and I used just a straight O, and I did that same tap, I'm just going to let this spot, because it kind of got a little red when I wiped it away there. But if I just tap this spot with just an O, so I've gone a little bit farther the other direction, you can see, kind of hard to show on the camera here, but you can see it's looking orange, like the color that's left looks like the orange I put it on. So it's got too much pigment, it's got too much orange. I need to go between those two colors, and then that's where I fall into that R01. That it looks like I'm just erasing these little marks, and there's not any excess color or colorless areas showing up. And then you know that you have the correct color with your color solving. So again, to recap that troubleshooting, especially with our melasma, if you put red on it and it does not go away, or it's looking icy, then you know that there's a little bit more excess blue in your melasma and you need to move a little bit more towards the oranges. So if I explain that a little bit more scientifically, if we use red to neutralize the green, because the green is actually made up of blue and yellow, if it doesn't work, we need to know we need to work more towards neutralizing this blue in it. So we need to move over to the oranges to be able to neutralize out that blue. Like I said in the beginning, it's science. There's no like ifs, ands, or buts. It's either right or it's wrong. And then you can use those troubleshooting tips to be able to get the exact excess color to be able to completely eliminate all of these distracting pigments on your face. So let's go in and do a little bit of under eye. Under eye is going to be made up of several colors, so it's important to really look deep into the under eye. I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail. I have tons of videos on targeting the excess color in your under eye specifically, but basically my under eye is dark. So I know that there's going to be some parts of blue. This part in here especially is like a very dark blue on me, so I'm going in with a higher saturation orange, and I'm just tapping that color directly onto that excess blue. I'm not going outside the lines, but you can see how that's immediately brightened up that inner corner of my eye. And then I have a little bit of that same color just under this teardrop here. And that's really, really brightening that inner corner of the eye. I have that same color on this side. So now you can see I've gone around my face. I've identified true purple. I've identified a purple blue. I'm identifying blue here under my eye. I identified green blue in my melasma. So now I'm really making a color wheel out of my own face. The rest of this darkness here is just a little bit of a lighter blue. So I'm going in with just a lower saturation of my orange. Sometimes I'll go in and target some of the extra melasma spots under my eye because sometimes that can add a little bit of darkness, but I've kind of identified a few of those distractions on my face to kind of be able to build my own color wheel on how everything's going to be showing up on my own skin. So to summarize, to be successful with true color solving, you need to learn the colors on your own face and color properties that we know are going to help you solve that. Again, I have some other videos that go a little bit more into depth with this, but basically if it's dark, it's going to be in the excess blue family. If it looks muddy or brown, it's going to be a bit of green. So assume it's green and start with red and then go from there. If it's looking dark but a little bit flush, it's probably in the purple family, so start with a yellow and go from there. And if something's really hot and saturated, it's going to be in the red family, so start with green. Now be careful because oftentimes, like I said at the start, we're tricked by the eye to see red on the skin that's actually not true red in excess. So just be cautioned when you start with assuming something is red, it's probably actually more into the purple and blue. So if you try green and it doesn't work, make sure you head over into the blues and solve a bit with those oranges and yellows. Once you've chosen that color correction shade, you can place a very light amount of that color directly over the distraction and then observe what happens to your skin in order to troubleshoot. So you don't need to have a whole bunch of knowledge behind this. We just need to be able to see what's happening when we put that color on and then go from there. If the color turns icy or kind of looks a little bit like toothpaste or it doesn't go away, we know that we need to move a little bit more towards the yellow or increasing our saturation. If the color looks orange, we need to move a little bit more towards the violet or decrease our saturation. Going through this process will help you determine the true excess color. And once the distraction erases without a trace, you know that you have the right color solving color. And then you can go and find that same excess color on other spots of your skin and solve with that same color. And now you are truly color solving without needing to put a layer of foundation over your face. I hope you found this helpful, and if you're interested in learning a little bit more about Demi, I have many resources and tutorials available for you. I'm a certified artist in this product, and I would absolutely love to get you started with any trouble areas that you're having difficulty getting rid of with your traditional way of doing makeup. So please send me a message or comment Demi below, and I will reach out to you. Follow along for more Demi tips. Bye!